You think you know what men notice about you? Maybe you think it's the way you look or the way you speak. But the truth is, they notice so much more than that. It's the little things, the subtle actions, the quiet moments, the things you may not even realize you're doing that actually catch their attention. Things that over time become the foundation of deep connection and desire. These aren't the obvious gestures or grand acts, but the quiet, unnoticed pieces of you that make you irresistible. Stick with me until the end, because I'm about to reveal the 8 things men notice about you. Things that will make you rethink everything you've been doing to keep the spark alive. Have you ever walked into a room and instantly felt eyes on you? Not because of how you look, but because of how you feel. You may not have realized it, but your presence, just your very energy, can shift the atmosphere of a space without you saying a word. The way you hold yourself, the confidence you radiate, even in the quietest moments, speaks louder than anything else ever could. You see, men don't just notice how you look when you walk in, they notice how you make them feel when you're there. Your presence is magnetic, and it has the power to shape the dynamics of any situation. It's easy to get caught up in the idea that you need to be louder, more obvious, more flashy to be seen or heard. But the truth is, the most powerful thing you can do is simply be present. Be fully present. When you step into a room, you carry with you a certain aura. It's not about your appearance, the clothes you wear, or how well you've styled your hair. It's something deeper, something that emanates from within. It's your energy, it's your confidence, it's your ability to command attention without demanding it. Your body language, your posture, the way you carry yourself all tell a story before you even speak a word. And yes, men notice it. Think about the times you've been drawn to someone. It wasn't just because they were physically attractive. There was something else, wasn't there? A certain calmness or certainty they carried with them. A quiet confidence that made them stand out. They didn't need to boast about their worth because they simply embodied it. They didn't have to fight for attention because their presence alone was enough to captivate the room. That's the quiet power of being. This is what men notice about you, not just your outer beauty, but the inner strength that shines through in your every movement, in your silence, in your stillness. They notice how comfortable you are in your own skin, how effortlessly you move through a space as though you belong there, as though you are enough just as you are. That kind of energy doesn't demand approval. It commands respect. And yet, you might find yourself wondering, but I'm not perfect. I'm not always confident. How can they notice me for who I truly am? That's the catch. It's not about perfection. It's about authenticity. When you walk into a room with an energy that says, I am here and I know my worth, that's what makes you stand out. It's not the effort you put into making yourself appear confident. It's the quiet self-assurance that comes from just being yourself. The moment you stop seeking validation and start recognizing your own worth, you shift the energy around you. You stop searching for approval, and instead you create an environment where your presence is enough. This doesn't just attract attention, it attracts respect. The kind of respect that comes not from what you do, but from who you are. And here's the breakthrough. Your presence is more than just a space you fill. It's an invitation. It's a signal to the world and to him that you are a force to be reckoned with. Not because you say it, but because you show it. You don't have to work for their attention or approval. When you are grounded in your own self-worth, your energy becomes magnetic. You don't have to scream for it to be heard. You simply have to be. So the next time you walk into a room, remember this: you don't need to be anything other than what you are. You don't need to try harder, to be louder, to be anything more than the amazing person you already are. Your presence is enough. It speaks volumes, and he, like everyone else, will notice it. It's easy to think that love, affection, and connection have to be big, dramatic. We see it everywhere in movies, on social media, in grand romantic gestures. We're told that love has to be loud, noticeable, almost like a performance. But you know the truth, don't you? The truth is that the most powerful moments of affection, the ones that truly build intimacy, are the ones you often don't even think about. The quiet moments, the small gestures, the things you do without even realizing they mean everything to him. It's in the way your hand gently brushes against his when you're walking side by side, or the way your eyes soften when you look at him, listening to him speak. It's in the way you hold him, not just physically, but emotionally, with just the right touch, just the right presence. These things, small, unspoken, unnoticed by most, are the threads that weave a deep emotional connection, and yet they go underappreciated, even though they speak louder than any grand declaration of love. But here's the thing, men notice. They notice how you touch his arm when you're close, how you reach for his hand when you feel the need to be close to him, how your expression changes when he says something important to you. They notice when you're fully present in the moment with him, when you're not distracted, when you're listening, when you're there with all of your attention focused on him and what he's saying. These are the things that make him feel seen, valued, understood. Not the grand, sweeping gestures, not the flashy declarations, but the quiet affection, the little ways you show him that he matters to you. Even in the simplest, most ordinary moments, these things, though small, go a long way in building trust and emotional intimacy. They create a bond that grows stronger with every touch, every glance, every moment of shared understanding. You might not realize it, but in those moments when you quietly show affection, you are doing the most important work in a relationship. You are building something that lasts, something deeper than surface level attraction. Because love isn't just about what you do when everything is perfect. It's about how you communicate with each other when it's just the two of you in the quiet spaces between the words. You're creating a connection that speaks to him on an emotional level. Men, just like anyone, need to feel loved and cherished. But not just in the way you tell them. They need to feel it in the way you touch them, in the way you listen to them, in the way you make them feel important and valued. They need to feel it in the subtleties. They need to know that you're with them, not just physically, but emotionally too. And when you stop and reflect on it, you begin to see the power of these small gestures. They're not insignificant. They're the glue that holds everything together. Every time you reach out for him in a small, tender way, every time you let him know he matters in the quietest moments, you are reinforcing the emotional foundation of your relationship. It's not about how big the gesture is, it's about how much love, respect, and care you infuse into those moments. It's easy to get caught up in the idea that love has to be loud, that affection has to be overt, but the truth is, the most profound intimacy grows in the spaces between the words, in the spaces between the gestures. The connection isn't built by what's loud and obvious. It's built by what's subtle, what's unspoken, what's felt in the quiet moments. It's in the soft touch of your hand, the look in your eyes, the way you make him feel, not just with your words, but with your presence. And when you realize the weight of those subtle moments, you begin to understand the true power they have. They build intimacy in a way that no grand gesture ever could. They invite vulnerability, they encourage trust, and they create a space where both of you can grow closer, more connected. And that, more than anything, is what deepens the relationship. That is what makes him crave you, not just for your beauty or your presence, but for your heart, for the quiet, powerful way you make him feel loved. So next time you're with him, don't underestimate the quiet power of your affection. It's in the small things, and it's those small things that build a love that lasts. There's something about you that he notices, something that has nothing to do with the clothes you wear, the way you smile, or the way you look on the surface. It's the way you handle life when it throws a punch at you. The moments when everything seems to be falling apart, when things don't go as planned, when you're pushed to your limits. That's when he sees who you really are. That's when he sees your strength. You know the feeling, the stress of a bad day, the weight of things piling up, the endless challenges that seem to never end. It's easy to fall into frustration, to get overwhelmed, to show the world your weakness when everything feels too heavy. And there's nothing wrong with feeling those emotions. But what he's noticing, what he's really paying attention to, is how you respond. Not to the world's expectations, not to what you think you should do, but how you react when everything goes sideways. Because here's the truth, how you handle adversity is often the truest reflection of your strength. It's not about having everything figured out. It's not about being perfect. It's about how you stand up, even when it feels like the world is pressing you down. It's about the resilience you show when things go wrong. Men see that, they feel it, and it draws them in, not because they want to save you, but because they see that you have a quiet power. They see that you don't crumble in the face of hardship, you rise. When stress hits, when life doesn't go as planned, do you break down? Do you lash out, let the weight of the world pull you under? Or do you breathe, gather yourself, and face the storm with grace, even if it's just on the inside? You see, strength isn't about how loud you are, or how perfect your life looks. It's how you move through the tough moments with resilience, how you keep pushing forward when everything seems to be falling apart. It's about knowing that you will survive, and knowing that your resilience is your greatest asset. He notices when you keep your composure, when you stay calm, even when everything around you feels chaotic. He notices the way you rise up after setbacks, the way you move forward with purpose, even when life isn't going your way. And it makes him respect you, not because you've got it all together, but because you refuse to let the challenges define you. You refuse to let the struggles break you. That resilience, that's the kind of strength that commands respect. In those moments, when the world feels too much and you want to crumble under the weight of it all, you've got a choice. You can let it defeat you, or you can show the world your power. You can crumble, or you can rise. And I promise you, every time you choose to rise, every time you choose to face the stress, the adversity and the pain with strength, you become someone he looks at differently. You become someone he can't help but admire. And you may not see it right away, but it's in those moments that he sees your true beauty. It's not in the superficial moments, the perfect days, or the easy times. It's in the hard moments. It's in how you handle the weight of life and still manage to stand tall. That's what draws him in. That's what makes him crave you even more. Because in those moments, he sees the strength you might not even recognize in yourself. The breakthrough here is this. Resilience is not just about surviving. It's about thriving in the face of hardship. It's about showing up, even when it feels like everything is against you. It's about standing strong in your own skin, knowing that no matter what comes your way, you will make it through. And when you do, you'll realize that the strength you've been holding on to doesn't just make you stronger. It makes you irresistible. It makes him see you in a way he can't forget. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to have everything figured out. But when you show the world your strength in adversity, that's when you'll truly see how powerful you are. And when he sees that strength, he'll crave your presence even more. Because strength, in all its raw, unrefined glory, is the most magnetic thing you can offer. And when you own that strength, you will command everything you deserve. You might not realize it, but when you're with him, the energy you bring is everything. It's not just about your words, your actions, or even the way you look. It's the way you make him feel when you're around. You see, men are drawn to the energy you give to them. And that energy, it speaks volumes. It's in the quiet way you focus on him when he's talking, the way your eyes soften when you listen, the warmth you bring when you're near. It's not about what you do, it's about how you make him feel. But here's the thing, how often do you give that energy freely? How often do you give him the kind of attention that makes him feel like he's the center of your world, if only for a moment? It's easy to get distracted, isn't it? To get caught up in everything else, work, friends, responsibilities, the constant noise of life. You give your energy to everyone and everything around you. But how much do you truly give to him? And when you do give, how much of it is truly present? You can be in the same room with someone, physically close, but emotionally distant. Your mind may wander, your attention divided, and even though you're there in body, you're not fully there. That subtle shift doesn't go unnoticed. Men notice when your energy is half-hearted, when you're distracted, when you're not truly there with them. And while they might not always voice it, they feel the distance. They feel the lack of emotional availability, the emotional gap between you. But here's where things change. When you truly show up, when you focus on him with the energy of someone who is all in, it's a game changer. You stop going through the motions. You stop just being in the same space. You start being with him. And that emotional availability, that depth of presence, is like a magnet. It draws him in like nothing else can. Think about the times you felt truly seen. It wasn't the grand gestures. It wasn't the gifts. It was the moments when someone looked at you and made you feel like you were the only person in the world at that moment. When you give him that, your undivided, authentic attention, it makes him feel valued in ways that words can't describe. It fills him with a sense of importance that goes beyond the surface, beyond the physical. It's the emotional connection that truly matters. And when he feels that, when he feels like you're fully with him, it creates a bond that nothing can break. You might think you're giving him everything by doing all the things: cooking, cleaning, taking care of his needs. But here's the truth. None of that will matter if you're not emotionally available. If your energy isn't fully directed toward him, toward the relationship, then all the practical things won't matter. He won't feel seen in the way he needs to. And when you do give that emotional energy, when you make him feel like he is your priority, it creates a connection that goes deeper than anything you could have planned. It's in the way you listen with intention, in the way you give him space to be vulnerable, in the way you share the quiet moments of life together. It's in the emotional intimacy you create when you're present, when you choose to truly be with him and not just beside him. So here's the challenge. Start showing up in your relationships with the energy you want to receive. Give him that emotional availability. Make him feel like he matters, not because of what he does, but simply because he exists. When you bring that kind of energy into the relationship, when you make him feel like he's enough, you'll see the difference. He will be drawn to you, not just because of what you give, but because of the way you make him feel when you're together. The bond between you will grow stronger, and so will the connection. And the breakthrough here, this is about realizing that the most powerful thing you can give him isn't just your actions, it's your emotional energy. It's the way you make him feel valued, loved, and seen. When you focus on him with that kind of intention, it doesn't just strengthen the relationship, it deepens the love and respect between you both. When you give him your presence, your focus, your energy, that's when the connection you've both been seeking will flourish. You've felt it, haven't you? That weight, the pressure to be something more, to do something more, to be the partner that constantly pushes, constantly demands, constantly expects. We all want to feel loved, to feel seen. But sometimes in our quest for that, we forget the most important thing: space. We forget that true love doesn't thrive in constant pressure, but in the freedom to be who we really are, without fear of judgment or rejection. It's not that you want to control or that you want him to change. It's that you want to feel close. You want connection. You want to see him open up, to share his thoughts, his fears, his dreams with you. But sometimes in that desire, you push too hard. You create an environment where he feels like he has to meet your expectations before he can feel safe to just be himself. And that pressure, it weighs on him. Men, like anyone, need space. They need the freedom to breathe, to think, to be vulnerable. And when you give him that space, when you stop demanding more than he's ready to give, you create an environment where trust can grow. You allow him the time and space to step into himself without feeling like he's failing, without feeling like he's being rushed or forced into something he's not ready for. You see, vulnerability isn't easy for everyone. It's not always something that flows naturally. Sometimes it takes time to feel comfortable enough to let someone in, to allow them to see the parts of you that are messy, that are scared, that are unsure. And that's where you come in. When you create space for him without judgment, without pushing him, he feels the safety to open up at his own pace. He feels like he's allowed to be imperfect, to not have everything figured out, to just be who he is in that moment. When you give him that space, you're not pulling away. You're showing him that you trust him to take the lead when he's ready, to share when he feels comfortable, to give when it's natural. And in that space, you both grow. The relationship grows, the emotional bond strengthens, because love isn't about forcing something to happen. It's about allowing it to unfold naturally and beautifully, at its own pace. This doesn't mean you shut yourself off or stop showing affection. It doesn't mean you stop caring. But it does mean that you stop expecting him to meet you in the way you think he should. It's about letting him meet you in the way that works for him. It's about giving him the room to breathe, the space to be himself, and the trust that you're not going anywhere, no matter what he reveals, no matter what he shows you. Think about it. When have you felt the most seen in your relationships? It wasn't when you were pushed to share. It wasn't when someone demanded your attention. It was when someone made you feel comfortable enough to be you. When someone gave you the space to open up on your terms, at your pace. That's the space he needs from you too. Not because you're not enough, not because you're not doing enough, but because real connection doesn't come from pressure. It comes from freedom. And this is where the breakthrough happens. By giving him space, you're actually drawing closer. You're not pushing him away. You're allowing the relationship to deepen in a way that doesn't feel forced. You're trusting him to be vulnerable, trusting him to come forward when he's ready. And when he feels that safety, when he knows that you're not going to rush him or judge him for his process, that's when the walls start coming down. That's when the emotional connection shifts from something surface level to something much deeper, much more meaningful. When you allow him the space to be himself, you're not just being kind, you're being wise. You're giving him the room to show up for you, to meet you in the way you both need. And the best part is, when you stop demanding, stop rushing, stop expecting more than he can give in that moment, you create a relationship where both of you can be yourselves. And that is where the real magic begins. So give him space, allow him to breathe, allow him to grow. And in doing so, you'll find that your connection becomes stronger, more secure, more beautiful than you ever thought possible. Because love doesn't come from control, it comes from freedom. When you give him the space to be himself, you create a love that lasts. There's something incredibly magnetic about you. But I wonder if you've ever truly recognized it. It's not in the way you talk, or how you dress, or how loud you can be when you're in a room full of people. It's not in the flashy gestures or the overt declarations of strength. It's in something quieter, something deeper. It's the way you move through the world with a quiet, steady confidence that doesn't need to be seen to be felt. You've been there, haven't you? The times when you felt unsure, when your insecurities tried to creep in, when you questioned your worth, and yet, even in those moments, something inside you holds firm, reminding you that you are enough. You might not shout about it or demand attention, but there is a calm strength within you, a quiet knowing that you stand in your power, and that, above all else, is what makes you irresistible. Real confidence isn't about being the loudest person in the room. It's not about drawing attention to yourself or seeking validation. It's the peace in knowing who you are, in understanding your value, and not needing to prove it to anyone. It's about being completely at ease with yourself, without feeling the need to constantly justify your place. Men see that. They notice it in the way you carry yourself, in how you don't need constant reassurance, in how you are comfortable in your own skin without apology. This quiet confidence, it speaks louder than any boastful words or outward displays of power ever could. You don't need to prove yourself to anyone. And that, more than anything, is what draws him in. Because here's the truth. Men are drawn to women who know their own worth. They are drawn to those who are secure in who they are, who don't need external validation to feel whole. They see it in the way you walk through life, unfazed by the opinions of others, undeterred by the noise of the world. Your self-assurance is magnetic, even when you're not trying to be. There are moments when you don't even realize it, when your inner confidence radiates so quietly, so powerfully, that it demands respect without you saying a word. It's in how you interact with others, how you carry your emotions, how you hold yourself in the most difficult of circumstances. The calm strength you exude in those moments speaks volumes about who you are, about the depth of your character. And that's the kind of confidence that attracts not just admiration, but respect. It's easy to confuse confidence with arrogance, to think that to be truly confident, you need to be loud, attention-grabbing, or assertive in ways that others notice immediately. But true confidence, the kind that really draws him in, is not about making noise. It's about the quiet strength that allows you to sit with yourself, to trust your worth without needing anyone else to validate it. And that's what truly makes you stand out. It's the subtle power you carry without even realizing it. The breakthrough here is realizing that the more you lean into your inner strength, the more you embrace the quiet confidence that comes from knowing who you are, the more irresistible you become. You don't have to shout to be heard. You don't have to seek validation to feel worthy. Your worth is inherent, and that quiet knowledge of your value is what men truly find magnetic. The more at ease you are with yourself, the more they will be drawn to you, not because you are trying to prove something, but because you simply are. So trust this quiet confidence within you. It is your power. It is your essence. The more you embody it, the more you'll realize how effortlessly it shapes your life and the relationships around you. And in that calm, steady presence, you'll discover a truth. You are everything you need to be, and that in itself makes you unforgettable. There's something he's waiting for, something that may seem small, but it means everything. It's something you might take for granted because it feels so natural to you, but to him, it's everything. It's the way you listen, really listen, when he speaks. It's the way you make him feel like he matters, not just as your partner, but as a person. How often do you look at him and truly see him? Not just in the way he looks, or the things he does for you, but in the depths of who he is, the parts of him that are vulnerable, the parts of him that he doesn't always know how to share. Men, just like anyone, want to feel understood. They want to feel heard. And the truth is, when they don't feel seen, they start to pull away. They start to retreat, not because they don't care, but because they don't know how to show you their true selves without fear of rejection or judgment. You have the power to change that. You have the power to make him feel like he matters in ways that go beyond the surface, ways that go beyond the routine of everyday life. You can make him feel valued by simply giving him your full attention, by being present with him when he's talking, by validating his feelings, not brushing them off, not pushing them aside, but acknowledging them. In these moments, you show him that he's not just a part of your life, but a priority in it. It's easy to overlook the impact of really listening, really being there. But men notice when you make that effort. They notice when you don't just hear their words, but when you understand what they're not saying. Men are taught not to show vulnerability, not to express emotion freely. So when they do, when they open up and let you see a part of them they don't show the world, it's because they trust you. It's because in that moment, they believe that you will hold their feelings with the same respect and care you give to the most precious things in your life. And when you listen, not just to respond, but to truly understand, you create an intimacy that goes beyond physical connection. You create an emotional bond that is anchored in respect, in trust, and in the quiet understanding that no matter what he shares, no matter what he's going through, you're not going anywhere. You're not dismissing him or his emotions or the vulnerability he shows. You're showing him with your words, with your body language, with your silence, that you see him. Truly, this isn't about fixing things for him. It's not about providing solutions to everything he shares. It's about being there, about standing in his world for a moment and offering him the space to be himself without judgment. When you offer him that space, you give him the freedom to open up even more, to reveal the deeper parts of himself, the parts he keeps hidden even from himself sometimes. And in that, a deeper connection forms. He begins to feel like he's not just a man beside you, but an individual who matters deeply in your life. So how does that change things? When a man feels seen, he feels valued. And when he feels valued, he's more likely to offer you his best self. He'll open up more, trust you more, and be more emotionally available because you've created a space where it's safe for him to be vulnerable. And that vulnerability, that's where the real connection lies. But here's the truth. You can't make him feel seen if you don't first see yourself. You have to be able to recognize your own worth, your own emotions, and your own needs before you can truly acknowledge his. Only when you know who you are and what you need can you give him the space to show you who he truly is. That mutual understanding, that emotional vulnerability between two people, is the foundation of real intimacy. It's the connection that endures because it's rooted in respect, in love, and in the quiet acknowledgement of each other's humanity. So stop for a moment and ask yourself, how often do you look at him, really look at him, and see him, not just as your partner, but as a person with his own struggles, his own joys, his own dreams? When you make him feel seen, you give him the greatest gift you can. You don't just show up for him in the obvious ways. You show up for him in ways that say, I value you, I respect you, I'm here with you in this moment. And in that moment, everything changes. He starts to trust you more, open up to you more, and love you in ways you never expected. Because when you truly see someone, when you make them feel heard and valued, you create a bond that transcends everything. And that bond, that's where real love begins. You've been there feeling that sting of rejection, that ache of wanting something you can't have. It's a familiar pain, isn't it? Maybe it's not just about love. It's about something deeper, something more personal. Maybe it's rejection from the world, from someone you care about, or even from yourself. And in those moments, it's easy to shrink, to question your worth, to think that somehow this rejection means something about who you are as a person. But here's the truth. How you handle rejection, how you set boundaries, speaks more about your strength than any compliment ever could. It's not the way you fall down, but the way you stand up. Men notice when you face setbacks with grace, when you don't crumble under pressure, and when you honor yourself by setting clear boundaries. When you set boundaries, whether in a relationship, with your time or with your energy, you show him something powerful, that you know your worth. You know what you will tolerate and what you will not. And when you stand firm in that, when you don't bend or break to please anyone, that's when true respect and admiration grow. Rejection no longer defines you because you've learnt to protect yourself, to shield your peace, and to walk away when something doesn't serve your higher self. You might think that setting boundaries makes you cold, or that pushing back on what doesn't feel right will make you less desirable. But the reality is, when you set boundaries with respect and confidence, you're actually inviting deeper connection. Because here's the thing, men notice when you don't just give your heart away without thinking, when you make them earn your trust, when you don't settle for less than you deserve. It's a quiet strength that's more attractive than any superficial gesture could ever be. You show him that you value yourself enough not to settle for less. And that kind of energy is magnetic. But it's hard, isn't it? It's hard to stand up for yourself when the world tells you to be small. It's hard to push back when you're used to giving, when you're used to making others comfortable, even at the cost of your own peace. But when you learn to set boundaries, when you learn to say no without guilt, to stand up for your needs without apology, you begin to show the world and him that you are deserving of not just love, but respect. And respect is the foundation of any lasting relationship. The real transformation comes when you stop seeing rejection as a reflection of your worth and instead see it as a chance to reaffirm your boundaries. You stand taller, you speak more clearly, you realize that rejection doesn't break you. It redirects you, it teaches you, it strengthens you. When you honor yourself in the face of rejection, when you create space between what's toxic and what's nourishing, you become someone who is emotionally whole, someone who does not seek validation from anyone else but knows how to give it to herself. That's when everything shifts. That's when you realize that the love you seek is already in you. The boundaries you set aren't walls, they're simply the protection of your energy, your peace, your worth. The breakthrough moment is this. The way you handle rejection and set boundaries isn't just about protecting yourself. It's about empowering yourself. It's about telling the world that you are worth the effort, the respect, and the love. And when you stand firm in that, when you stand tall in the face of anything that tries to push you down, the people around you, especially him, will see that strength and they will be drawn to it. So let rejection come. Let setbacks happen. You are unbreakable. Your boundaries are not walls to keep others out. They are an invitation to those who are worthy of your energy, your love, and your heart. You are deserving of all of it, and you won't settle for less. And when you embrace that truth, you'll realize something incredible. By standing strong in who you are, you create the space for the love and respect you've always wanted to flow in. And that is the power you've been searching for all along.